tonight I'll probably about 2 a.m. I'll be trying to say it to myself.
Yeah.
So you'd like to be a city councilman in Doral?
Yep. For the last 11 months, I have run for a city council seat in the city of Doral, Florida, seat number 3.
So this is now you. There was a 3-man race,
Yes.
right, before, and you came in second place. All right,
Second place.
So the final day to vote is December
8th is the runoff election. Right now, you have the ballots. Mail ballots are out. Okay, so you have until December 8th to return your mail ballot. You can do it personally, or you can send it by mail before it's postmarked December 8th.
So let's talk about you. And you mentioned me earlier, you used to live in South Miami.
Yes, many years ago, in 1997, I bought a home here.
Not too far from where we are right now.
Not too far. Very nice home, very large home. I was a successful business. I am a successful businessman in the logistics business, the business that prominence Doral. I mean,
so what for people that are not acutely aware, what type of business is that? Explain that.
Well, it's a freight forwarding business. Logistics means you pick up cargo from A and deliver to Z. We take care of the whole things. Okay, we do air transportation, ocean transportation, trucking, local trucking, customs.
Now, a business could do that themselves, but
you will have to have an export department, and with us, you get it for free.
Yes.
Okay.
So,
I mean, we are wholesalers of big freight. Okay. So because of the amount of volume of freight that we move, we buy at a cheaper price, like a wholesale price. And then we have our own tariff and we resell the goods. There's interesting because in Doral, there's 450 freight forwarders and 450 freight forwarders and logistic companies. So, out of the 4,700 in the United States,
almost 10%
are located in Doral. One good thing about it is that we employ a lot of people in Doral. You know, Doral, we only have 70,000 residents live in Doral, but 120,000 go in and out. Those are people that go to work in the logistic companies that we have. And, you know, our biggest employer, not best, but biggest, Carnival Cruise Line, which has been hit very big because of COVID. It's good for you to mention that, you know, in the last several elections or administrations, they have really forgotten about businesses. And like anything, people should know that businesses are the ones that attract companies, attract more to become a city or a charter like we have.
Yes. It wasn't too many years ago, maybe 20 at this point. People say, where's Doral? So, you know, go to the Palmetto Expressway, go on 36th Street, you stop off at Herbett's over there and have some corned beef sandwich, and then you're going to see Ryder Truck System. Keep going. It's right around there.
It's right around there. Well, we have become a very, very, very interesting city. And, you know, for the past several, like I was mentioning, administrations, they forgot about the businesses. And to top it off, then COVID came along. Why? Because of elected officials have only worried about making homes our priority. So they overpopulated the city without worrying about our roads, worrying about our traffic, worrying about our trash. So what happened? More houses brought more traffic and more trash. And they have not considered anything but just continue to give out licenses and permits to build and build and build.
Years ago, when there was a story, Doral has more traffic than downtown, and there can be more people. And overall, I look at Doral as one of the finest cities in Dade County.
Oh, it is.
So it's just between you and Coral Gables,
That's
right?
It.
But I got to tell you, Doral with the whole range of businesses, from some gigantic national, international companies, the local guy, and everything in between. It's really extraordinary.
You can do everything in Doral. You can eat, play, and do everything in Doral. I live in Doral. I play. I go to the gym. Everything I do.
And you can go to Fast Sign Doral. Speak to my buddy Walter Prio. He'll make some signs for you.
I'm sure you can, Walter. I'm sure you can find a lot of sponsors in Doral. Okay, Doral is a beautiful city. It's among the top 10 cities in Florida. and is a very young city. It's only 13 years old. I mean, it's no 17 years old. I'm sorry.
So right now, I understand that last year, I'm not sure which year, but whatever, recent years on the trolley, almost 900,000 people.
Oh, don't touch that dial.
Oh,
the trolley? No.
No, tell me.
The trolley needs to be replaced completely. Not even 1% of the people use the trolley, and it's free.
So where did that figure of 890,000?
I don't think so. No, I mean, if you actually, I actually investigated, because we talk about Doral being a smart city. You're not a very smart city if your trolleys are pollutionizing your city. Okay, when you have available new technology, self-driven technology. Now with COVID, we're gonna have to get smaller trolleys. Nobody uses the trolley. And the worst thing about it is that the bus stops for the trolley, they don't have a bench. So you have this lady, a bench or a rooftop, you know. So what happens? This lady working at Walmart, working 8 hours, standing up, has to go to work with a trolley, and then she has to stand another half an hour to an hour. If she misses it, poor girl. Want service every once in a while. I'm not saying that the service is terrible, but it could be much better. Why? Making smaller units, okay, have more frequency, and have them self-driven. Route technology.
Right, so you're a successful business. How your kids? What are the ranges on your kids?
Oh, this is big. I have 4 kids. Right. My oldest daughter is 35 years old, and she gave me 2 beautiful grandchildren. Nicholas is 11, and Isabella is 8. She's been married. She married her high school sweetheart very young. Okay, but very happily married. She has a house that cost her $800,000 in Doral. I have to look up for her interest. One day I went to my daughter's house, and she said, "Abuelo," my grandson says, "Abuelo, we're gonna have a barbecue. Come on outside." Then he comes back inside. He said, "Oh, I'm sorry, Abuelo, we're gonna have to go to your house. I live in Doral." Why? Because the smell is not gonna let us do the barbecue. Now you can imagine how many people, okay, how many people go through the same thing because of the smell of trash.
Yeah, let's talk about that. But before I forget, you're running for office, and that this is from what I understand, this is your card that you mailed out to some folks here.
Yes, sir.
Right. So what are some of the things that you think need to be addressed that are not being handled by the current administration?
Well, the current administration has forgotten about businesses. You know, the labor, the one of the most important things a mayor or a city council should do is to promote the city you are. Actually, if you're not even administrating the city, because, you know, we do have a city manager that goes by whatever we approve as a city council. So if you don't have to go on a day-to-day basis and administrate a city, I mean, the mayor is not the hands-on person. I mean, he is the mayor, but your labor is to come and invite businesses to your city, to promote your city, to grow your city. You don't bring only just people to live in your city. Did you know that only 11% of the taxes you collect on a house go to the city? If you on average $6,000, only $660 go to the city. When you have a business,
so let me guess, who pays the big part of that?
Carnival Cruise Lines, Trump National Doral, all those big businesses. So what is our duty? Our duty is to promote this business. A lot of logistic companies in my field have fled to Broward, Miramar. You know, I hate to mention the name, but, you know, a big corporation in logistics moved their headquarters from Miami, Doral,
and they moved
to Miramar.
Why?
Because they give them benefits.
Oh,
you know, taxes, whatever, they buy properties, whatever. What is it? We have to attract businesses because businesses are the basic of every single community. Let me tell you, what do you think Kendall is not a city? It's all houses. There's no businesses to do it. So if the day anybody decides to make Kendall a big city, believe me, that will be a budget that will be very hard to balance.
Yes.
Okay.
We've in the years past brought forth the concept of cities, city or 2 or 3 in West Kendall.
Yeah.
And it was struggling to find an area that could be supportive. By the way, there's a great business organization called the Doral Chamber of Commerce, Manny Sarmiento. If you guys need some help, business called Manny. All right, you can find them all over the web.
Excellent organization, right. Manny was one of the runners candidates for the city.
Oh yeah, you're right. He ran for.
He was a candidate, and Bermudez was reelected. Yes.
So one of the things that we
great man, Mr. Manny Sarmiento.
Yes.
Very, in Spanish when you say Sarmiento, miento means lying. His slogan in Spanish said, "I don't lie, Sarmiento. I don't miento," or whatever. And great man. He's a pro business. That's why he runs that organization very well. And I salute him. I respect him as a businessman, as a promoter. He does more promotion in businesses of Doral than any other individual in the city of Doral.
Absolutely. I think he's one of the top marketers in Dade County, period, hands down. Right. It's really a massive job that he does. And then in communicating with people, and pre-COVID, there used to be a lot of classes that you could go to. I wanted to we went to one of it was a class in QuickBooks this a couple of years ago.
Yep.
Had our guy go over, have to speak Spanish. I said, go to the Spanish class. He came back. He says, we need to do that. And you know what? And we hired the teacher to do it. And it was perfect, right? You could go, you could see them in work to see if we wanted to hire them to either whether it's consulting or actually doing it. Yeah. So, and again, my hats off.
When you have a chamber, a respectful chamber like Doral Chamber, it could attract a lot of business. I mean, in my logistic business, you have to legalize a lot of documents to certify whatever you did for the other country. So they play a big part of it. I respect them. I salute them. I wish there would be more respect towards that organization. Okay, but you have to be guided to business. You're probably not guided,
So in the old days, I used to import exotic animals from overseas.
Oh my
Talk
God.
about paperwork. I mean, we would bring in poisonous snakes and monkeys and birds and all sorts of craziness, right?
One of my mentors was Suarez, Manolo Suarez, Suarez Shipping. He used to bring live animals, circus. I mean, but he was the most experienced custom broker to handle this type of goods. So you have to have an experienced person within every field to have things. Be advised very well. I'm talking about advisory boards. My opponent used to be in an advisory board. Okay. Yes.
An advisory board
for the city of Doral. He had to resign in order to run. I believe it's his second or third time he's running for office.
So there's in the village Palmetto Bay, there's soon to be a trilogy plus more, where one of the candidates, the story is that there will be several candidates, several people on the council there that are very supportive of the mayor. And the mayor's extended endorsements to those people. One of the challenges we have in life, and we've seen it across the board, if you don't have somebody on the other side, right, it doesn't work the way it's supposed to. All right.
That is true.
And there has to be somebody that's not in that club, whatever club that is, somebody that's on the outside. Well, what about this and what about that? Because if we don't have that, then we really don't have a democracy.
Exactly.
We have daddies running or mommies running the whole routine. Everything
starts at home. There's not a dictatorship. It's not daddy calling the shots. It's mom and daddy calling the shots. And they have opposite points of view. Same in the city. Same in everywhere. Democracy is such a good thing for the world, for the basis of humankind. You cannot have, and I'm glad you mentioned this, because you cannot have a government, that only leans to one side. And I'm talking, can you imagine the House of Representatives, Congress, and the president all being Democrats? Where this is going to lean,
or the other way too,
or the other way, or turning the other way.
Yes,
this got to be a balance. And the city of Doral intentionally was created with a 5-member council to have a balance. So you get 3 votes, and the whatever they are proposing goes through. Right now we have 4. There is a flyer going around. That my opponent, that one right there. My opponent has the entire city council. I'm not talking here bad about anybody. I'm just talking about the institution.
Yes.
You have the entire city council, starting with the mayor, and 3 elected officials waiting for this gentleman to have a close 5-0 city council? I don't think so. I think Doral residents should know and should be very aware that the city was intentionally created by a 5-member council so that you will have a diverse and a balanced government. We need a balanced government in Doral. And one of the reasons, and I'm going to tell you quite honestly, when I ran, when I was told I was second place, I got 7,077 votes. Okay. I called the city clerk and I said, I understand that this is called for a runoff. Yes. And I asked her, how much is this going to cost the city, this runoff? Because we are the only runoff. And as the city has to pay for it. And she said, it will not cost, because there's only one candidate, more than $20,000 to $40,000. Okay. So I decided to run. But if this would have cost the city $150,000, $200,000, believe me, I will wait 2 years. But unfortunately, I did it because the city needs a well-balanced government.
So currently, this is what I understand. The 4 sitting council people, the mayor, who I known for 20 years.
I like
Pete Cabrera, known him for a long time.
Yeah.
And I think I think Claudia was here, I think.
Yeah.
But currently, those 4 people, if I have it correct, have all supported your opponent.
Yes.
Right.
They're waiting for him. As a matter of fact, yesterday in Facebook, one of them, as an elected official, was taping a video. Please support my friend, as an elected official. Refrain back. Let the people. There's been a lot of campaigning.
Yeah.
It was rough. Let me tell you, I have been in fairs of logistics, Canton Fair. I mean, you name it. And I have never been such in a big circus like I was right in front of those voters in the pre-early voting. It was a riot. I mean, and people are not informed. We were there to inform them. You'd be surprised how many people don't know who they vote for. They went to vote for presidents. They didn't know that there was a local election.
As was explained on one of the other cities, it's not a sorority club or fraternity.
No.
Right? It's supposed to be people with different opinions, all right, with this goal in mind, making the city better for its residents and for the businesses that are there to make that work. But if they're all going the same way, the homeowners, the business people, the voters, the people that live there have less of a chance of having a diverse view.
You mentioned something right now, homeowners. 90% or 95% of the residences in Doral belong to homeowners associations. There is a statute in Florida called Florida Statute 720. That statute regulates what homeowners associations are limited to do or what they should not do. Every city, municipality should have a department, especially if you have 90% of your residents complaining to your code enforcement saying that they're taking abusement on them. Some homeowners associations, some of them, let's just say not some of them, most of them, take advantage and they feel like they own the properties. Sometimes like the owner of the property feels that the homeowners association's own. I have a very bad news for this. The Realtor Association has not told people that banks are not refinancing. If you have an FHA loan and somebody wants to buy, a house with a 5% down, unless that homeowners association has 10% in reserve, the bank will not finance it. You know why? Because they need that reserve in case of a catastrophic, another hurricane, whatever that is. Nobody's enforcing this. I understand from a banker and a realtor that sells a lot of homes in Doral that they went to the city of Doral, stating that a couple of them were missing 1.5 points. Okay. And the bank did not want to give him a waiver. As a city official, one of my proposals could be, if you have this, and I'm not talking thousands of dollars, I'm talking $6,000 for you to have a 10% reserve of the money you collect. $6,000. Have you seen Doral Proud? That costs more than $6,000, my friend. Mm-hmm. I'm telling you. I'm here to be a balance. I'm not here to attack anybody, but I'm telling you, if you have an association that doesn't sell their properties, I mean, you cannot sell your own property because your association doesn't have a 10% reserve because the person that you're trying to sell cannot qualify.
A couple of years ago when we inquired to the state as far as the homeowners association, essentially what they said is we have no people, we have very few staff people, we don't have enough money, we can't do the stuff, so you guys are sort of like on your own, right? And they would many times say, well, go to the police if there was a thing, but the police said, no, that's civil.
It's a civil.
And
then you go to court, right. Sit down and wait.
So let's talk about where you grew up and how you got into your business.
Well, I was born in Caracas, Venezuela. My father is a Cuban native. My mother was a Venezuelan, and they met here at the University of Miami in South Miami.
Love story.
They met here. My father was a lonely child. His older sister was about 15 years older than him, or 10 or 15. And my father was he went to live in. My grandfather was a cigarette maker in Cuba, and he worked 16 hours a day. So my father was raised alone. So one day he says, "Hey son, you're gonna die of starve. I mean, I'm gonna send you to a military academy, in Milledgeville, Georgia." My father.
How old were you?
No, that was my father when he was 13 years old.
Sorry,
okay. So my father went to Georgia at 13 years old. He graduated at 17 or 16. He met my mom. They married at 21. My father, I guess he made like a vow saying that he will have a lot of children because he didn't want his children not to go what he went through. He was a lonely child. I think he went overboard because we're 8 brothers and sisters.
You heard it here first. 8 brothers and sisters.
8 brothers and sisters. Yes, sir. 5 boys, 3 girls. Same mom, same dad. 62 years of marriage. Very, very decent family. We were all raised. I was born in Venezuela because my father, when he had the 3rd child, Officer Smith knocked on the door in Little Havana saying, my friend, he had to have 2 jobs to maintain a 3-member family. Can you imagine 8? I don't know what would have been today. But anyway, thank God for Venezuela. And I was born there. My father went to Venezuela. He accepted a job in a logistic company. He used to work for Jim Ryder, as Ryder Truck Lines in Doral. So back then, we all went to Venezuela. I was born there. When I was 13 years old, the Venezuelan economy crashed. My father had a smart decision, and he sent us back to the U.S. So I came to study here. I did my elementary at Kinloch first, then Rockway Junior High. Then I went to Coral Park Senior High School.
Is that in
Rockway?
Westchester?
That is in Westchester, yes.
Westchester.
Right up front of the, very close.
Say it again, what?
Westchester.
Yeah,
I love it. I used to, when I was 14 years old, I used to work at the Burger King on 87th Avenue and Coral Way. Flipped a lot of burgers in my life.
Ground.
I'm telling you, I had then when I went to Coral Park, we used to have Columbus High School, and we used to be rebels.
Was it still a temple at the corner?
Oh, yes. Now it's a Christian church. But it used to be. It was a temple at the corner. So Westchester was my area. Okay, we lived in 108th and Coral Way by the youth fair. So I had a girlfriend, and I started my life very fast. I became a father at the age of 19. My father was in the.
That would explain your very young daughter.
That is correctly. I was a father at 19, a grandfather at 43. Okay.
A grandfather at 43. Tommy, you hear that?
A grandfather at 43. Yes. I love my grandchildren. We have a beautiful family. I'm married to my 20s. Well, I'm married to my wife, which we've been together 26 years. Lovely marriage. I love my wife. She's very intelligent. She wrote a book. Very intelligent woman. Very good fighter. She worked with me this campaign every day, 24/7. Very supportive of what I do. And as a matter of fact, I had 4 people to get confirmation, should I run for office? Because when you're a successful business person, the least thing when you're getting to a point, a grandfather, is to get complicated in life. So I asked my wife and I said, I'm going to run for office. we've been helping politicians all our lives, money-wise, activism, everything. So why not us? I mean, I think I can put in my 5 cents into the city that we live in. And she said, I don't have a problem. But then I had a bigger confirmation. I talked to my dad. And his words were, we were having breakfast, and he said, I have no doubt that you have the qualifications, not because you're my son, but why do you want to complicate your life? That's what he said. And I said, that is precisely, you see, when you have grandchildren like you have, my father has 23 grandchildren. Can you imagine 8 kids? You have to have 23. Yes. Well, I think I lost count. There's more than 23. Okay, great grandchildren. I can imagine how many, 11, I believe. Okay, but I told my father, he said, I think you should do it. Then I asked a sister, which is very close to me, and she said, jump in that pool, head forward. You will do very good to your city because you're a passionate servant. Then I had to ask somebody. I was working, okay? Now I have my own logistic company, but I had sold it. I reopened my own company this year, okay? But I was working as an advisor for Latin America for a very large freight forwarding company, 65-year-old company, one owner, Swiss guy. And I had to ask because, when you're an employee, this demands time. And I said to my boss, which was the CEO, I am planning to run as a city commissioner for my city of Doral. Well, when we opened up in Doral, because they were very small in Doral, we opened up a big warehouse. We had the city mayor come and cut the ribbon for us. So he really said, I appreciate that. You love this company. So I said, we don't have a problem. I think you have the capacity. Okay, I hope you do a lot of good things for the city. Then COVID came along. I decided to leave, and we went our own ways. I started my own company. We do a lot of business together. It's a nice company. It was a very nice company. I learned a lot, the corporate world. When you have a family business, you leave those things at the end, especially if you're a Latin America guy. But it's been an interest one.
So let's talk about the population of Doral over the last 10 years, 15 years, how it's changed.
Oh, well, according to the last census, we had 39,000 maybe so residents. I'm going to talk about voting population.
Okay.
Right now, the city has 70,000 residents right now. 30,126 voters are registered in the city of Doral. In the year 2016, last election, only 21,000 registered voters. Okay.
When was that? 2016.
2016. So 4 years ago,
21,000 voters.
21,000 to 30,000.
Okay.
So you're talking 9,000 additional voters, and they'll tell you what that is.
That's pretty big.
Pretty big. Well, Venezuelans have become residents. From residents, they have become citizens. So the jump was very high. A lot of people in this election, because of the election complexity that we had, a lot of people wanted to vote. So there was a lot of registration. Okay. Out of the ethnic, you're talking Cubans, number one, around 8,900.
That's out of 70.
Out of the 30,000
voters.
I'm sorry. The Colombians have always been number 2 in there. Cubans, number 1. Colombians, number 2. Around 79 to 8,200 voters. For the first time, 6,900 Venezuelans vote.
Okay. So we know that lots of times at the end of the day, people vote for their tribe, the people that they're comfortable with, right? And it takes a lot to cross that line, right? Mm-hmm. We know that in spite of, let's all get along, all that's all hokey pokey most of the time, right? Historically, the districts throughout the county were drawn based upon population, and in some places based upon the color of their skin.
Yes.
All right. School board was very similar. All right. And so at the end of the day, are people crossing over the ethnic line to vote for somebody else that they believe is the right candidate, even though they didn't grow up in the same hometown?
Yeah.
So what do you think?
Well, I think it's all been Hispanitized. When you're talking about Hispanic, I don't think the Cuban versus the Venezuelans or the Colombians or whatever. I think everything is in a big bowl, the melting pot, call it.
Well, that's what
I have both.
That's what Anglos say.
Okay,
all right? Which is yeah, they all speak Spanish. So
they
all
speak Spanish.
Pot, right?
Okay, we all have our own dialects.
Yes.
If that is the problem, if that is the reason, I have both of best world. I'm a Cuban, Venezuelan.
How about that?
Okay, so I have both of the best worlds. Okay, my wife is also Venezuelan. I have a lot of friends, Colombians. Did you know that we have 1,000 Asians voting in the
1,000
Haitians?
Oh, no kidding!
Oh yeah, those are the people that work for the companies, the big corporations that are there. 1,000 Asians. I mean, I'm talking Indians. But 1,000 Asians.
So we have a series called Race to the Top, where we invite people of color specifically.
Yes.
Right. And one of the things that we found, people of color are happier to be here than their Anglo or Hispanic counterparts. Period.
Period.
It's not even like
I agree with you. I agree with you 100%. Okay. We have all types of food in the round. Restaurants, unfortunately, due to COVID, and it was bad handling. I mean, the CARES Act or whatever it's called, I think they took too long, our elected officials, to act. Okay. They should have acted sooner, and a lot of business would have survived. To date, I believe that not a lot of business have gotten their grants, as there is.
I know that Manny was pushing very hard a couple of months ago.
That's one of the reasons I believe I understand he jumped into the race, because they were not acting, and he strives for those businesses. So
here we are: March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October. So we look at what happened to our lives, and how we changed.
We have a different world.
So somebody said to me the other day, Michael, what 2020 are you going to live in? The one back in March, or are you going to look at the one that says from November forward? Right?
I refuse that the rest of my life I have to wear a mask. Of course, when 9/11 came along, I had an office in New York. I had to close it. I had an office in Rahway, New Jersey that served that area, that northeast area. And I had to close it because business just flew away. We have to go into an adjustment agreement.
Yes.
Can you imagine going with a wrong political officials, or not the wrong ones, but should I say an aligned one, not a neutral one? Okay.
So here's one of the things that we know is happening as we speak and across the world, which is we have to get the money and the energy to pay for this stuff. All right. Mm-hmm. The crunch hasn't happened. All right. From what I've gathered, no. It's as we start to get out and we peak out and we go, okay, now what? All right. Mm-hmm. Each of the cities got hammered. All right. And so you have the city government, but you have the local business, and we're all about local. The local shopping center, what stores in the Miracle Mile, God bless them over there, a huge number of vacancies. All right, I'm sure the same with Doral, because people move to an area because they like to be able to go there and shop and walk into that local restaurant, all right, and see their buddies that are there, right, and the local clothes store. And when we see what's happening across town, the cities have to be much more careful today, number one, how they get the money, and two, how they're going to spend it to make sure they're building for the future, right? And I want to say hi, speaking, I'm imagining I'm at 107th Avenue and 41st Street, Dr. Raul Gonzalez. Thanks for doing the work on my teeth. Dr. Smile.
Dr. Smile. We know him very well. Raulito very well. Yes. Everybody knows each other in Doral.
So that's the point of that we have local businesses, and people want to be able to support that. Yep. When we walk into a local store and we know the owner, that means so much more to me and to them than to go into some big box store and you're just this little number, right?
I have a philosophy, and this is when you like what you do it very well. Okay, maybe some people don't like what they're doing as an elected official or whatever. They got into it, they got tired of it, and they're doing it. However, in my point, I will be, and to answer the question in a moment, I will be a hands-on councilman. Why? We're not required to serve, like a time clock. Go in the morning, go in the afternoon. I mean, you're required to be there in your console and be on top of whatever your assistant and things they find you. I'm going to be hands-on. Why? Because I love my community. You know why? Because I know Pedro that owns that restaurant is thriving. Like Moderato, he's thrived. At 1099 paying high rent, it's not going to happen when you have 20% 20% of the capacity in your restaurant. Okay. And he's in a tight shopping center that they didn't allow this new tent. It's becoming a habit. I hope it doesn't happen. Okay. The tent at front of the businesses.
Yes.
Okay. It may be the new normal. We cannot allow that. Okay. Because that's not going to resolve the problem. We're going to have, restaurants reopen bit by bit, but we have to help them by giving them breaks, in taxes. How do we do this? I know that every business, okay, has to pay their share of taxes, but like restaurants, okay, they pay perhaps on the tables, on the chairs, or perhaps give them a break. Or you don't have to pay X amount of money this year, whatever it is. What about hotels? They're being hit. Property taxes in hotels. What are you going to do about them? They're empty, and they have been empty for 8 months. What? Where? I mean, he owns the property, but you're going to have to give him a break. How is it going to pay 7.5%? 2.5 to 1.75% of the property value of his hotel to Dade County? This is something that has to be addressed to the city, to the new mayor of Miami-Dade County. Okay, I'm talking about hotels. There's so much to talk about. We could be here hours. Did you know that Miami Beach receives money back out of the tourist tax they charge our tourists? And the rule of law means that if you reach 35 hotels, you can get the same benefit. Coral Gables. Well, Doral already has 35 plus hotels. We haven't claimed them. We have not claimed that 4% back, which probably represents what? $9 million?
Yeah.
That could help those businesses.
So a lot of small we got a couple minutes left, Juan Carlos. So a lot of the small businesses want somebody to listen to them. They want to try to get some answers. Yeah. They want to have a sympathetic voice that is there. They want people be receptive, all right, to their grief, all right, and about how they're going to move forward, all right. So there's going to be an election in 2.5 weeks, all right. You may become a councilman, all right, and over there.
I hope so.
All right, yes. And so if you were, what would be if you win, what do you think you're going to say to the people when that microphone is put in front of you after being sworn in? What are you going to say?
I will be here for all residents of Doral, not those just that align with me or that voted for me. We have a beautiful city, and we all have to work together. I was in a conference once, and I started my conference by saying, look at your neighbor and say, government starts with me. It does start with me. You are part of that government. We work for the resident. The resident doesn't have to be like begging of an elected official. No, you put him there. And throughout the years, this somehow was misfaded or mistreated, or I'm telling you, we work for the residents. And that's the way the city, it was established. Residents of Doral, city council, city management, and the employees. Why is it like has to be around the city council? No, everything, we serve the citizen, the citizens and the residents of Doral. I will be very accessible. Okay, I'm the only candidate that I believe I publish my phone number in all my literature. Why? Because I want people to call. And believe me, I have received some important phone calls that you will be surprised. I'm glad you're doing this. From ex-officials, okay? I had no idea you could speak like this after a conference or whatever.
We are delighted that you put your hat into the ring. I know that sometimes it's a challenging thing to do that. Whether you are in or not, it is a gigantic step to be able to take on that challenge and to put your neck out there and say, come one, come all, here we are.
I exhort the residents and the citizens of Doral, you have to go out and vote. Runoff elections have a tendency of not participation. Right. You have to participate. The ballots are out there, and all the precincts will be open from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Do your vote wisely. Think about it. Study me. Study my opponent. Study what we have planned. Study the plan that we have for this city, and I guarantee you, you will make a right choice.
Your grandkids are looking at you and say, look, what do they call you?
Grandpa, abuelo.
Abuelo. Look at what he's doing. He's running. So you've already made a difference to your family and to the people in the community that you're willing to do that. We wish you lots of good luck.
Thank you so much, Michael. I appreciate your time and this space, because this is important for people to know.
And by the way, Oscar Pugh, if you'd like to come down and have a conversation, to be the three of us, we could be in here. We can have glass between. Happy to. It can just be a conversation. It could be in a sort of debate format, or it could just be a welcoming thing.
I would love to debate, Mr.
Will that be all right?
That will be perfect.
Okay, so we welcome that opportunity. Listen, folks, please share this with your people. This is being put on Facebook right now. Where else, Tommy?
YouTube Live and Twitter.
Okay, so it's going to be available in lots of places. Make sure that you vote, all right? Study your candidates. You can go online, find everything about it. If you have any questions, you can reach out to Juan Carlos. I'm not going to say your last name because I'm
Esquivel.
Okay, there you go. So you can find them all over the place. And
yes.
Again, so folks, his name is up there. Thank you very much for being here.
Thank you,
appreciate
Michael.
It.
Thank you so much. Thank you,
again,
everybody.
This is live with Miami's Community News. Let's look right over there. And remember, vote for the candidate of your choice. And December 8th is your last day to do that.
Exactly.
And thanks for being here again.
Thank you.
All right. See you guys.